Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the biggest stars and some of my favourite people. We're here today at Jack the Beanstalk at the Nottingham Theatre Royal, one of the most beautiful theatres in the land, home to a fantastic pantomime starring the wonderful Tony Maudsley. How are you?
I'm very well, mate. We have to stop meeting like this.
Yeah, it's very peculiar. It seems to be a thing about you in a frock and me coming and telling you you're wonderful.
My dressing room and being in the north of England. It's not 12 months since you knocked on my door in Sheffield and I was taking off my bra and lipstick, and here you are again.
When we last spoke, you were in Hairspray, and I suppose there is some similarity between Edna Turnblad in Hairspray and this. I mean, it's a pantomime-esque show anyway. Yeah. This, though, gives you the opportunity to do proper gags and to test your comic timing, because really it is one gag after the next. And may I say, you did it magnificently.
Oh, thank you. You're very kind. There's an obvious stepping stone there, and funny enough, last time we met was in Sheffield, and the producers of this pantomime came to see the show Hairspray in Sheffield, and here I am now in Jack the Beanstalk. With the difference between Edna and a dame, Edna, I tried to play very real. I completely had in my head that I was a woman at every stage. In this, I'm very much a man with clown's makeup on and a funny wig that's not naturalistic. It's not everybody knows him, and we refer to it constantly in the pantomime, and we're obviously going for laughs. So that's the difference. Whereas with Edna, I absolutely wasn't going for laughs. I was playing a real woman's plight and journey and story.
And in this, I mean, you get some zinger lines, which is great. You get some killer songs and these big dance numbers and a wonderful set. And frankly, only Kudos can do it as well as they do. And they've given you a great show to shine, haven't they?
Yeah, they really have. I mean, I've not got anything to compare it to because this is my very first panto, but they've put me in my first panto with a couple of geniuses who are doing their 50th panto. So I couldn't have had a better combination than the Chuckle Brothers leading me through it for the first time. I mean, they're legends, aren't they? I mean, and they're so good at what they do, and I'm kind of here watching and learning and having a great time with them.
Do you know what you can't buy is warmth? And I said to you last time I interviewed you, you have that in bucket loads. I think that's why we love Kenneth in Benidorm. I think that's why we love you in this and we loved you in Hairspray. You can't buy that, and they have that too. They walk on and you immediately want them to be brilliant, and that's such a gift, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. They've got a twinkle. I mean, when we started rehearsing this, actually, I gave my dame a bit. I mean, because you have to bring a bit of your TV character to the panto. I mean, that's why you're employed. That's why you're on a poster. And I think I made my dame a little bit harsh to start with, because Kenneth can be quite brash, can't he? He can be quite harsh. And our great director, Ken Alexander, he said, just lighten him up. He said, we need to love you. We need to like you very quickly. And basically, you just say the same, but you do it with a smile on your face and a chuckle in your throat. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't sound good to say. Which one?
You come on with these zinger lines, some of which are quite cutting and push it as far as I've ever seen pushed in a panto. Of course, 5-year-olds aren't going to get it, and it is for the dads. But, I mean, the reaction of the audience is extraordinary, and you are given some real club lines, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's very risque, and the reaction to some of those lines obviously varies from night to night. I mean, I won't lie, we do hear a few tuts in the audience now and again, but... do you know what I mean? You have to check yourself. You don't want to be offending people at a pantomime. Pantomime it's made for family. Do you know what I mean? So you don't want to have people feeling uncomfortable with their 5-year-old kids, but at the same time, you've got to kind of push those boundaries a little bit so that the adults who are buying the tickets are also having a good time. And there has been occasion this time when I've checked myself and. Just keeping an eye on things, and like I say, you don't want to spoil people's night, but at the same time, you don't want to cut your panto to bits where it becomes drab and predictable. And also, I have to inject a little bit of Kenneth into my dame. So again, that sounds very smutty, doesn't it? These double entendres are flying out of me.
If you find any more innuendo in this conversation, would you whip it out? Because
yeah, absolutely. Well done.
Right, let's talk about you as a dame. I mean this with the greatest compliment I could possibly give you. I thought you had the nearest warmth to Les Dawson I've ever seen as a dame, and I've seen hundreds of pantos over the year. I thought that was magnificent, the way you did that. And it's partly down to the voice, and the voice is partly down to the fact you're a proper actor who gets what you're doing. You're not some fake that's turning up from a reality show.
Oh, thank you. Do you know that comparing me to Les Dawson, that's the biggest compliment you could pay me. That's really lovely.
And by the way, I think he probably was the greatest Dame ever, wasn't he? Let's face it.
Yeah, he probably was, wasn't he? I mean, he was fantastic. I mean, even his makeup or his lack of makeup was funny as soon as he walked on. It looks like someone had been doing potato printing on his face, didn't it? And I've also kind of gone down that route. I mean, comparing it to Hairspray, before I had a proper makeup artist trying to make me look as much like a woman as they could. With this, I get 5 minutes and I've had to learn to do it myself, so I look like I'm Sally sometimes. But I'm so rubbish at putting makeup on. But I'm having great fun sort of playing with the voice and taking it up and nudging and winking to the audience that it's very obviously a man behind the frock. And I don't know what the kids think, though. I mean, the kids believe that I'm a woman. I don't know.
It is very confusing. I sat in the car on the way home with a 6-year-old trying to sort of deconstruct what he'd just seen. Part of it is quite terrifying. When you do that video bit with the jumping out spiders and all that, that's a horror film in itself. Then you've got a man dressed as a woman. Then you've got a woman who's a man who's a woman. It's so spectacular and sparky. They just get through it and love it.
Well, do you know, when they showed us the 3D film, because obviously we have to act in front of it, and the first time we watched it with the 3D glasses, I was pretty horrified. I mean, it's quite scary, isn't it? I mean, so I can't imagine what is going through a 3-year-old's head when that comes out of the screen at them.
I think at that point they take the glasses off, don't they? Because it is, I said in my review, I think they should actually tone it down. It's so real and brilliant. It's almost too good, isn't it?
But kids love to be frightened, don't they?
I know.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we haven't heard anyone cry, which is a good thing. And there's plenty of screams, and I don't know, I guess the 3D sequence is padded on either side with lots of light-hearted fairy tale stuff. So,
and what they're trying to do, and what I think is so difficult about this genre, is keeping it 2016 whilst keeping the authenticity of pantomime. It's really hard to captivate audiences in such big numbers day after day without doing something like putting a new tune in or putting the 3D thing in as a gimmick, because it's a very old-fashioned medium that they're trying to do today and still fill audiences. And hands up, they're doing it magnificently.
Yeah, no, they're blending the past and the present beautifully, aren't they? I mean, things have changed though. We don't have so many principal boys anymore, do we? And then now you've got people like Caroline Quentin chipping in that she's finding dames offensive to women. I'm like, oh, come on. So is the badly behaved giant offensive to men? It's like, oh, draw a line, love. Do you know what I mean?
I think these women should shut their mouth. They normally say it on programs like Loose Women, which is a program that only has women on. So you've got your platform. Just shut up. This has nothing to do with that. It's not about that. It's not political, is it? You can't get into that.
No, it's fun. And like, stop crushing what fun we've got left in the world. Do you know what I mean? People scream and laugh and they leave the theatre on a high. I mean, let's not spoil that.
Exactly. And let's face it, when you leave this, it is such an ovation, and they always go to the bit at the end, which is that beautiful wedding scene. I think in every pantomime, I don't think there's one where they don't. Before that, what I loved is normally we get the kids doing the happy birthdays and all that bit. They didn't do that in this one, which I loved, because they gave the Chuckles more time to shine with these great routines throughout. And I think that's what's brilliant as well. You're getting to see sort of special acts and variety acts in these. It's a great all-round show, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they're bringing their 50-year-old routines to this new generation, and they're loving it. I mean, these 5-year-olds, they're probably not familiar with Chucklevision. But I mean, they're winning them over. I mean, the minute they come on stage, you know what I mean? And I wasn't familiar with Chucklevision because it's kind of after my time, so I had to Google it, and I had to look on YouTube. And then to see them in rehearsal, I thought, I'm not sure I'm going to find this funny. I've been howling for 3 weeks. We still howl in the wings. I mean, they're so funny. They're so brilliant at what they do.
And that natural timing they've got, and proof that you don't need to F and blind, you don't need profanity, you don't need shock to get big laughs. And granddads, dads, children, nephews, cousins, sisters, they were all roaring, especially at the Goldilocks scene, which again is just old shtick, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, and Paul and Barry are both granddads, you know what I mean? The last thing they would want to do would be to offend grandparents who brought their youngsters along, and they rely purely on their skill and good, clean fun.
Now, when you were working with Johnny Depp, did you ever think that you'd be sat here in Nottingham being a dame? Because it's an amazing trajectory via Benidorm and Hairspray in between, because, as I said earlier, you are a proper actor, and I think that's why you pull it off so well. But it is amazing full circle how your career takes you, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, you don't know what you're going to be on next, you know what I mean? And no, when I was working with Johnny Depp back in, when was it, 1999 or something, you don't know where you're going to be in 25 years. And here I am. I did say to my agent, said, God, we used to swap emails about Reese Witherspoon and Johnny Depp. Said, now we're talking about Chico and the Chuckle Brothers. And you know what? I'm very, very happy with that. I really am. I mean, my career has gone full circle, and Panto was a box that, to this point, I hadn't ticked. And I'm really glad I have. Yeah.
Well, again, I think people like Ian McKellen gave it credibility, where we realised it is the most fun you can have from a visual point of view, from the audience's point of view, but then from your professionally, you're selling out theatres day after day. No, not many people can do that.
I have to say, firstly, I don't do it for the money, I do it for the love of the children, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I have to say, Panto, bar none, is the hardest avenue of being an actor that I've ever gone down. It's bloody hard work. It really is. And anybody who disses people who do Panto, shut your mouths until you've tried it.
Well, and again, it's relentless. I don't think anybody can understand what it's like doing 12 shows in 6 days. Yeah. I mean, in a normal West End show, you'd be doing maybe 8. If you're a lead, you might do 5.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I've never done 12 shows in a week of anything. And it's bloody hard work. I've got a mate who I was at drama school with. He's in the Panto down in Chesterfield, up in Chesterfield. And some weeks he's done 16 shows a week. And I'm just like, no, I would die. I couldn't do 3 in a day. I just couldn't. I mean,
thank God here they don't give you any of those 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock shows. They must be mortifying in the morning.
Well, you know, in all honesty, if you're listening, Kudos, I would never, ever do a 10:30 Panto, ever. No. So don't even ask me.
You'll be unavailable. Yeah. And then we look at Benidorm, which I know people love you for the most. And again, it's because Kenneth may have that acid tongue. I said this to you last time, but you deliver it with such warmth. No matter what he said, it comes off as funny. When is it back? What's going to happen with Kenneth this year?
Well, we are back on screen with Series 9, which is already in the can. A bit later than normal this year, I hear. I've been told not to say anything, but we're normally on in January, but this year we're moving a bit further down the schedule. So we'll be on soon, but not as people are expecting early January, which is a bit of a shame because it's a great winter warmer, I think. But it'll be on soon, but not as soon as you think. And yes, again, I'm not supposed to say anything, but yes, I am going back to film series 10 in March. So after Panto, hopefully I'll be having a little bit of a break and then heading back to Benidorm.
Will he fall in love at any point? Because this is what we want. We want Kenneth to be happy.
I don't know if he will. I don't know if the public want him to. I think once he falls in love, we lose so much of what he's capable of. Do you know what I mean? I love the fact that we find him in skips with kebabs all over him, and if he falls in love, that might not happen. I'd love him to fall in love momentarily with like a mail order bride that he finds on eBay, something like that. Do you know what I mean? But I do hear that in the pipeline for Series 10 there is a bit of amour going on for Kenneth. I'm not sure how well it's going to work, but yeah, he might have a bit of a love interest for a few episodes.
Is it fun being you, especially when you walk past a theatre as grand as this and you see your face centre stage and there you are, your name at the top of the billboard and you are the star? Is that thrilling?
Do you know what? I had a couple of mates in that have been my mates since I was 16 the other night, Gary and Lorraine, and we went to TGI Fridays after the show for some cocktails. And then we were sitting by the window seat and we looked up and there's a massive LED billboard, and we just looked out the window and I gasped, and it was me up on this massive billboard, and they were just like, oh my God. So yeah, I was sneakily chuffed. It's lovely. Yeah, of course. We're on the side of trams and things like that. Yeah. It's like, I've arrived. Yeah. My ambition when I first started as an actor was to be on a poster on the North Circular Road, and one of those massive posters. This is better. I'm on the side of a tram in Nottingham.
And what about the Palladium? I know they're going back next year. Would that be something you'd love to do?
Oh God, yeah, the Palladium, yeah. I mean, that's obviously the pinnacle, isn't it? Of, I mean, it's only recent that they've started doing their Panto again, isn't it? And apparently they've got it for the next 3 years. I've read in the paper, but yeah, no, of course, the Palladium, yeah.
This pantomime is wonderful. It's Jack the Beanstalk, running until the 15th of January here at the Nottingham Theatre Royal. And Tony, you are magnificent in it. You are one of the best dames I've ever seen, ever. And to come in and do it first time off is such a credit to your talent and ability. We wish you all the best with Kenneth and Benidorm. And of course, we'll talk next year when you're in another frock doing another show.
Frock, yeah. La Cage aux Folles, maybe. Yeah. That's all I do these days. It's men dressed as women, yeah. So I'm sure we'll be somewhere.
Great to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, mate.